Today, numerous drivers from across the iRacing world start their quest to become a World Championship competitor. This is round one of the GP Turn Racing iRacing qualifying series from the virtual Red Bull Ring here on FTF.gg. Hello everyone, my name is Justin Prince. Alongside the move today is Joey Atterbury for pre-race coverage as we start off the pro qualifiers as these competitors get ready to race in the Delia R01s in the Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing Series qualifiers. The pressure is high for many, and starting today, iRacers will have 7 weeks to see if they will be consistent enough and quick enough to be able to run in this year's edition of the Pro Series, Joey.
I am excited to be here. It is awesome that we are kicking things off here at the Red Bull Ring, especially with these Dallara IR01 machines. I'm just excited to have the open wheel racing back for 7 weeks in this qualifying series. It's going to be nonstop action the entire time.
Now, first things first, though, in terms of the discussion, let's take a look at the schedule for this series. And keep in mind, all the tracks that you'll see for this qualifying series are the ones you'll see as part of the pro schedule. However, the challenges for a pro qualifier field remains the same, especially when you have that one oval race mixed in.
Yeah, definitely. The oval race is going to be a little bit something different, but you see here, kicking it off, Red Bull Ring, the traditional road course racing here, 38 laps. It's going to be a pretty exciting race, especially with the lap times that these machines are running. 900 horsepower out there, extreme grip. Pretty much just wind these things up here at Red Bull Ring. But like you mentioned it, Pocono down there, the oval, got quite a few different styles of racetrack. Go all the way down there, even Detroit. The Belle Isle Street Circuit is in here.
Now, it's two things to be able to consider as well in regards to the format for these tracks. Top 14 qualifiers or drivers from this qualifying series will have the opportunity to be invited by iRacing to compete in the pro campaign. There's also one drop round to factor in when it comes to this series. But to be polite, you do not want to make a mistake when it comes to this series, because even when you factor in a drop, that momentum swing is critical, but also just having that speed in general is critical for the whole 7 weeks.
Well, I mean, you look at the iRacing, iRating field out here, and it is extremely stacked. I see several drivers over 9,000 iRating, so I have a feeling that the speed on the racetrack, Justin, isn't going to be a problem, but you're right. Only one drop week, 7 weeks total. You have to keep up the momentum the entire time. It's not just a sprint of one race.
It's important to also mention that track you discussed. And this track, in turn, will see drivers zip around today. Here in Spielberg, Austria, it's a thrilling track to say the very least, because if you think back from the 2021 Pro Series campaign, lots of intense moments to close out that campaign here. After all, this is a well-liked open wheel circuit that should provide some challenges in quick lap times. If we look towards the map, though, it's important to mention when discussing things with the 2023 Season 3 race record holder so far, Cameron Dance, he emphasized how today was all about maximizing the corner exits, but also keeping the flow as there's a lot of straights. He also emphasized being smart on how you attack this track today is critical.
Well, you look at the overall shape of it, there are several very long straightaways that leads to some big-time passing opportunities. And yeah, you're going to have to keep the momentum up. But yeah, the most important part, getting off of those slow corners, primarily turn 3, pretty much as slow as you can make these cars go around this circuit. If you have any sort of wheel spin at all, putting that 3-liter V10 to the ground, it is going to hurt you all the way down the hill to another big passing opportunity down there into turn 4. But then the last half of this racetrack, Justin, actually very different. Lots of fast sweeping corners rather than the start-stop. Actually, pay attention, turn 9 and 10 to the track limits out there.
Especially keep in mind just how much the grip levels and draft effects going to play into mind with the Dallara iRoll ones these drivers will have, especially here. A lot of drivers talked about that throughout social media, but Dance especially emphasized both being very big keys you have to consider to win here today.
The Dallara iRO1 is an impressive machine. I mentioned a 3-liter V10. I mean, just huge tires on this thing. It produces an immense amount of downforce, which will be on full display here at the Red Bull Ring. But how are the drivers going to cope with all of those different aids that the car has to, help them along? Plus, 3 different tire compounds to choose from as well.
A lot to talk about, but as these drivers get situated and get ready to put down to some flying laps in a very stacked field of 72-22 and iRating more than 7,000, it's time to get ready to approach the track. On the call for today's round is SRL commentator DJ Clark, as well as the 2021 Pro Series lead commentator Jake Sperry. Jake?
Thank you, Justin. This is an incredibly stacked field for the GP Turn Racing iRacing qualifying series. It is the best of the best, booking one of at least 14 spots here today as qualifying currently has itself underway at this moment in time. Looking at the Altus eSport machine making its progress through the middle of the circuit. That is Simone Maria Marcheno, 9,800, looking to try and make as much as possible happen today. DJ, they get 8 minutes and they get 2 qualifying laps. Being on top of the times is everything and then some.
Yeah, it certainly is. You need to make sure that you are absolutely on it around here. And as Joey alluded to before in that pre-race coverage, you've got to watch out for the track limits coming down through the final 2 corners. If you stray over the line at any point on this lap, your lap time will be deleted. And so that's going to be playing into the mind of these drivers.
New time up at the top. It's the number 15, Eduardo Leo, up on top with a 106.190. Focusing on the run then down towards this Rauk corner with Kalen Chin at this point, looking to try and maximize everything that is there. You can see how strong the field is. Drivers like Sam Kiter, who was in the championship in 2021, down in 12th position. But Chin, no slouch when it comes to open wheels. The Aussie making charges here through the middle sector, now towards Jochen Rindt at turn 9.
And let's see what he's got coming down through this section. A little bit of a brush breaking corner as he goes down into it. Holds it well around the outside. Now down into that final corner. Red Bull Mobile, and he's going to be able to power across the line. What does Kalen have?
Only 15th fastest then with that time. It was a 106.872, tied on times with Nicholas Laubisch out there on track. So really not what Kalen Chin wanted, but Kalen Chin is out there and looking at who has got what tyre to work with. Tyre choice is going to be key in terms of how they qualify today, because they must start the race on the same compound of tyre they qualified on.
Yes, they most certainly will. And look for most drivers out here today, based off of what we've heard before the race, to be starting on the medium or hard tire. The soft tire not favored here in this series. And so that'll play out over the course of not only qualifying of who able to extract a little bit more time out of the car and on those tires, but also that race strategy, which will come into play over the course of the 38 laps.
Second lap going to be important, especially when you consider that it is a hot track temperature, 42 degrees C, peaking up over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 107 Fahrenheit, and the long charge then to the line. Chin does not improve on that second lap time. There was an off track somewhere, and qualifying is score complete with every driver over the line with both times sorted. Pole position then for Eduardo Leo with a 106.190. We'll have Aaron Vasquez for company on the front row. Carlos Fenalosa will start from third with Simone Maria Marcheno, number 1 in iRacing, in fourth. Pablo Espes for Obsidian Racing will start fifth, with Gael Valero in sixth, Marcos Nunez and Jakub Maciejewski, 7th and 8th positions. Row 5 houses Daniel Civichabo and Michael Jani, number 8 there for Apex Racing. Manel Kubo Torres over the page then will start in 11th, with Matt Emery in 12th. Sam Keita jumped down into 13th with number 14 in position 14, Andreas Henkel, looking for a good showcase today. Nicholas Laubish and Kalen Chin will be on row 8 with Marcus Lucio and Nico Wiesbicki in what is 18th position. Alex Gal starts 19th with Ralph Benitez 20th, and then it's Eric Andre and Pascal Stix on the back row here in 22nd position. 4 splits worth of racing. This is top split where all of the points, or the majority of the points, will score, but second split will be important later on in the season. Less than 45 seconds to grid up here, DJ. Now it's about that very tight Niki Lauda curve.
Yes, it very much is. Watch out for cars getting a little bit too far out to the outside. There's that big sausage curb on the outside, which could maybe put a little bit of damage onto the under trays if they're not careful. But watch for these drivers being aggressive down this long straightaway going into Remus, turn 3 there. It's going to be very, very interesting. I think that, more than anything, is going to be the flashpoint.
22 drivers starting, 22 drivers on medium tyres to start this race. Your Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing qualifying series waits on one driver who gets himself up on the grid back there on about the 8th row overall. Let's get ourselves ready then. Here from the Red Bull Ring, it's going to be 38 laps, 1 pit stop required, and lights out, and away we go. Eduardo Leo with a good start, struggles there for Fenalosa off of the front. He's going to drop back into 5th position. They charge into the opening section of the track. It's a swarm up at the front of the field as they now look to try and drive and descend down here in the Styrian Mountains, looking up towards turn 3 of Remus Corner. It's a nice clean start, exactly what we wanted to see in the battles. We expect to be ferocious here as they bottleneck up through that hairpin section.
And it looks like the majority of the field able to get through nice and cleanly. A little bit of side-by-side farther back down in the field, almost fanning out to 3 wide there as they come down into Rauch.
Brilliant stuff then, and they're going to have to work it out together. Fenalosa there having to deal with the likes of Michael Jani for Apex, Matt Emery, who is there trying to make something happen for Veloce, looking for every little bit of pace that is possible, but a nice start. You can see they're pushing now through the double left-handers. Not many lefts on this circuit. Most of the corners are right-handers here, so expect it to be a little bit more aware when it comes to those left-hand side tyres every time they're going out there and dealing with these high loads through these corners. And it is something to be expected as well, DJ, which might be contrary. Yes, this is an incredible high-speed circuit, but expect everyone on high downforce as the top 2 are clear. It's Leo and Vasquez at the front for Altus.
Yeah, they're starting to pull away here. Maybe going to play a little bit of teammate games up at the front of this, as fuel saving could come into play here over the course of this race. We'll have to see if Leo and Vasquez decide to be able to do that. A little bit more action farther back in the field. I could also report that Gal was spun around in the first lap as we've got a car off coming down through turn 3.
Yeah, that's Carlos Fenalosa, who's having a shocker here to start then his qualifying series run. 7 races, 7 weeks, and he finds himself now way back. That's Marcus Lucio, who's there just behind him, so way down the order, 16th position. He finds himself only, so issues there on the early goings as he started in 3rd position in this race. He'll look behind, he'll be very much concerned with that, and there's trouble.
That's a car spinning around there. Looks like maybe a little bit of wheel spin coming out of Power Horse, but able to get it back up underneath them. That's Lucio there.
That is Marcus Lucio, and Lucio's going to have to be careful about every time you do that. You will absolutely light up these tyres, and now it's about work. The top 2, Leo and Vasquez, very much like Pogacar and Vingegaard today, on the run, and there is an Apex car in trouble. They're heading down into the wall. Is that? Yes, it is. It's Michael Jani, the American.
And that's not normally an area where I would expect to see a car off. I've got to think there that there was maybe a little bit of wheel spin, maybe even a little bit of contact coming down through Red Bull Mobile. That seems to be the only logical explanation.
Well, everybody knows that you cannot win this race on lap 3 of 38, but my word, can you lose it? And Michael Janney will now have an uphill battle, try and get his point out there overall. Change of position there as we take a look. That is Sam Keitet making the pass on Jakub Maciejewski, making the move up then from 10th or 11th at the start of this lap, now up to 9th. Keitet is absolutely flying.
Yeah, putting on a really good display here, moving their way up through the field as much as humanly possible and trying to get those maneuvers. Looks like they're going to be able to hold off here a little bit on Kubo Torres right now and start to grow that gap, looking ahead to Nicholas Laubich.
Yeah, and Laubich, definitely no slouch out there in terms of racing, is going to certainly be someone to keep in mind in terms of the way that this one's going through. At the moment, it is Leo who leads, Vasquez second, Simone Maria Marcheno in third, Pablo Espes currently in fourth position. And this is where you have to talk about fuel saving, and it's so critical in this series, DJ, because you're losing upwards of 0.4 litres a lap being stuck out there at the front.
Yeah, very much so, and we anticipate a one-stop race for all of these drivers, as is mandated by those tire compounds. You got to change it, so I've got to think here that we could see a little bit of swapping back and forth between Leo and Vasquez, a little bit of action farther back in the field here as they run.
Yeah, that's Ralph Benitez there making the move on Manuel Kubo Torres. So that a very strong pass for position as they drive on through the two left-handers out on circuit. The big Raz corner then, turn number 7 that leads into that flick right of 8. And then you crest what is this section, and the fast-flowing turns 9 and 10 fly themselves through. There was just recently news that broke today that they're going to gravel that off 9 and 10 over the course of the lap, and it's looking a little bit more aggressive in front. The front of that group, you can see, spearheaded by Nicholas Laubich. Laubich under pressure. That's Kalen Chin, it's Andreas Henkel, it's Carlos Fenalosa. All of them here looking to try and get up towards the outside of the top 10. Here comes the move then from one Mr. Kalen Chin, straight up the inside, no arguments about it.
And Henkel was actually the big loser out of all of that, really had to check up as a result of those two cars going in side by side, and I think Fenalosa is going to have a run now coming down into Rauch.
He's going to have a look here down the hill. It really does flatten out and plateau as you go through that section, and everybody just tunnels to the outside, and just like that, the move is done. So nicely done by Fenalosa. His recovery will soon continue. But now it's time to talk about the players of the game in and around third position. Look at the up and under. Wait just a moment. He's not going to wait for love nor money. Fenalosa moves up one more as he makes the pass.
He liked one, he loves two. It's a brilliant move there from Fenalosa, absolutely responding to what was happening in front of him. I really like what I'm seeing here out of that number 6 machine on the day.
He's doing well. Top 2, still there in front. Eduardo Leo leads. Aaron Vasquez in second position. Simone Maria Marcheno and that group in third. That's where I want to talk to, because there are drivers who are saving themselves tactically. Pablo Espes, Gael Valero in there, Daniel Civi-Chabo for Apex, and then you've got Marcos Nunez for the Apex Academy, and co there, who are all going to try and get in. I will correct myself there. Apex Academy car then for Daniel Civi-Chabo, and then just behind him, Marcos Nunez, who's going to try and make as much progress as possible. This is where you have to be clever. Save the fuel, give yourself an extra lap or two. It saves you time in that pit lane.
Exactly. The less time you have to spend putting fuel into these machines, the faster you're going to be able to get around the track, because we've got a car off and heavy damage there on the rear wing. That's Andre.
It is an Eric Andre who's finding himself now in a whole boatload of trouble with his car. Doesn't have the black and orange mechanical flag, but he finds himself down the order. I'm going to throw it over now to Justin Prince, who's down on pit lane. There's troubles for the number 17, 4 laps down. Their race over already, Justin.
Yes, indeed, and actually just discussed things right before the start of the grid with Peter Zuba, who's on the spotter stand for them. They mentioned how they felt really bad, actually, about the car, about the preparation. Just 2 days of preparation for today. They just wanted to finish this race. This is not good to reach that respective goal. Meanwhile, you say that to the other side of things, though. Sam Keitet, who's amongst those charging to the field, up to 8th already, was also in the 2 days of preparation mode and hadn't been feeling well in terms of the track position. But this is obviously something that they were hoping for, to charge to the field as one of the drivers with experience from the 2021 championship.
Last time by, Kiter was half a second quicker than the group in front, who are very much in fuel save mode. He's burning the candle at both ends. At this point is Sam Kiter, desperately trying to gain places and gain places quickly. And, well, you don't blame him in terms of the way that he wants. Look at the car. It's a technical difficulties car. Issues required. All of the different panels indicating, well, which way do you want to paint it? That's this surface, this surface, this surface. Hopefully, you don't end up the wrong way. And look at them scrapping it out in front. Sivi Sharbo finds himself losing the position to Marcos Nunez, but they're going to fight almost 3 wide off the exit, DJ.
It is going to be 3 wide here as they come down into the corner. Everybody trying to scrap for position. That's going to be the number 4 of Nunez that's going to be able to hold out ahead. And here comes Kiter stealing a place there right at the entry.
Gael Valero found himself at 5th position starting that lap. He's now back down to 8th, and he just looks like he's had a whirlwind just strike him. Nothing he can do about that. He finds himself in a world of hurt now. He's got some work to do to get back up to pace.
Yeah, he certainly does, and that really goes to show you here, Jake, the power of the draft in these IRO1s. Very, very quick, very, very easy to get that tuck up behind, and really on a circuit like this, use it to your advantage.
You really can. This is the Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing qualifying series. Lap 9 here of 38. And at the moment, a gap forming now between 3rd and 4th position of about 1.3 seconds for Pablo Espes. Here comes Sam Kiter, though, to Ramos corner through the small kink left of the Münzer corner, otherwise known as the mint corner in English. And that was as mint as you can get. You could print that as money. That was a great pass.
Yeah, it certainly was. I love what I'm seeing here out of Kiter, just slowly but surely working his way up through the field. Now, he's got Sivi Sabo and Nunez up ahead of him. A little bit of a wide run there for Marcos Nunez. I think he's starting to feel a little bit of the pressure being applied by Sivi Sabo.
And all of this behind Pablo Espes for Obsidian Racing, an incredible sim racer out there. You put him in anything, he is lightning in a bottle, the way that he drives, but he knows now that he's losing ground to the 3 in front, Leo, Vasquez, and Marcheno, who find themselves in their races, managing their own runs. Slightly defensive off the exit at the final corner as they play for best of the rest here, starting on lap 10. But now this is where it gets crucial, because every lap that they can save, we're thinking that the pit window opens in about 8 laps' time. That's where the mindset really, DJ, is going to start to focus, as now here comes the looks from everywhere. Kiter almost pushing the Ryan Hunter Ray line, 2 tires almost in the grass trying to make the pass.
Everybody going for it here. I think Kiter's not thinking about necessarily that pit stop window. He is pushing as hard as he can here at this point to try to get his way up forward. He's going to be able to get the move there on Nunez, and now behind we've got a little bit of action. It's all flying off here.
That's Sivi Sharbo making the pass on Marcos Nunez. No arguments about it. Nunez has to stay in line. Valero with a bit of a look as well isn't going to find it. Brilliant stuff then in this race between 4th and 8th places, and it might soon be 9th because Jakub Maciejewski is joining the group as well.
Yes, he is, and that is not what these drivers want to hear up ahead of them as they continue to push. And now very, very good running here as Maciejewski going to try to move his way forward, see if he can bring himself into the equation. He's certainly within draft range.
He's well within draft range, but he's also bringing Matt Emery along for the ride, who's been very quiet in the number 19 Veloce Esport car. There goes Sam Kiter, then through turn 2, once again making the move, and he will take a trip on the front. Nunez fighting Sivi Sharbo just behind, and it looks like they're going to trade those places. Up the hill, it's not straight, it's never truly a straight here around this Red Bull Ring here in Spielberg. You're always having to think on every straight where you're positioned.
Yeah, very much so. It's all kind of curving straightaways, as it were. Nothing is as straight as an arrow here. Now, especially coming through this section of the track, though, there you saw a little bit of what I was just about to talk about. Some of the arrow wash that these drivers have to deal with as they come through this section of the track. If you're in a long train like this, you've got to feather the throttle a little bit. You can't take it normally. Well held there for the Apex Academy driver.
This is an incredible car as well, and you can just listen to the scream of this machine, DJ, because it's naturally aspirated V10.
It is producing about 900 brake horsepower with about 1.7 power to weight. This thing is a beast like you can't imagine.
And just like that, imagining a move was Marcos Nunez. Brilliantly done, but he's not done yet. Pablo Espes scrapping straight back. They're costing each other here. To the group that goes through, Espes gets turned by Sivi Sharbo, and he manages to keep it going, but he'll lose a number of places there. Swarming around him, Maciejewski, Valero. Now Matt Emery's going to fight him on the straight here, down into Rauk. Who's got the best of the breaks between them, and what does Pablo Espes do from here?
He's going to try to keep fighting is what he's going to do, but I think Emery's going to have that position. He's at least going to have the outside run, and there you see that is going to be Espes having to give up the coast.
He's going to have to give it up. There's not much that he can do in terms of the way that his race is going. Justin, just having a look at an Eric Andre down the field. He's back out and going again, but he's a lap down.
Yes, indeed, and it's been very silent from that camp after what happened earlier on. Keep in mind, a lot of these drivers know getting the series started off in a position where you do not have to use the drop for round one is also critical. So we're keeping an eye to see what happens there. Track position going to be something that they won't have the rest of the way. But I do have an update involving the situation with the 7 machine. Did ask about something because it was mentioned by their spotter crew. They're on an alternate strategy with the speed they have right now. I asked the question straight up. How will this impact the back end? They're expecting to be a little bit heavier depending on how things play out. We'll see how this speed holds up for the second half of this race. That should give a hint on what direction they just went to be able to be this quick on the same compound as the rest of the field.
Sam Keitel has Daniel Alves Lorenco in his ear, giving him guidance every single stage of the way. On the back of him, though, is Marcos Nunez, who's looking to make this. Get this here, DJ. Altus Esports, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's in for the pit stop. Justin, to you.
This is exactly what was just mentioned. They were expecting the car to be heavier, and as we were discussing prior to today, the top of the fuel tank, about 25 laps at the most. Looks like they've elected a short fuel here in this situation, and this is what I think they mean by a heavier, slower car. They're going to be full tanking it the rest of the way.
That's going to be something they're going to have to deal with. DJ, front two, though. This is all leading to Aaron Vasquez. He's made no move on Eduardo Leo, who's been doing all the donkey work at the front of the field.
Yeah, very much so, and I don't think there's a reason for Vasquez to want to make the move here at this point. Now remember, these two are teammates, as you said before, as now they all run 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order. So I think Vasquez is the one that we're going to see after the pit stop certainly be able to leapfrog his way ahead and then look for that number 3 to put the hammer down.
And closing right up to the back there, Vasquez lifting off then. Compared to Eduardo Leo, the number 15, it's the Italian versus the Spaniard out there in the front of this race. And there's a second Italian waiting behind, Simone Maria Marcheno in third position. And he's driven so well, DJ, to keep himself within 1.5 seconds of this leading duo.
He very much has. It's been a quiet race here for Marcheno. Hasn't really put on a big display, a big spectacle, but running in the laps that he needs to do. Now, if I were Simone here, I would maybe think about trying to close that gap a little bit more, try to get a little bit of a benefit of the fuel stop, and try to gain a little bit more gas mileage that way, but we've got drivers into the pits.
We do, Justin. It's Laubish and it's Henkel.
Mine.
It's going to be a very, very strong run then as they go away. So Andreas Henkel will be out of the pits and will drop down to 18th position then. And will be out on the white-walled hard compound tyre to get racing resuming again for him and this race. We are right in the middle of the pit stop cycle now, and drivers are playing that waiting game depending on how much draft they've had. But it is crucially all up to Altus' plan at this moment. Aaron Vasquez here, DJ, is sat beautifully in the prime position. He might want track position to go to the pits. That might be his first port of call.
Yeah, I think that could be the play here, but the other caveat that I will give to that, Jake, is the fact that because he's been riding behind for so long, he may be able to extend this stint by 1 or 2 laps if the tires will hold up. We expected the mediums to last about 20 laps. We're on lap 23 now, so clearly less tire wear than we were expecting.
Well, we've got 23 to go. We're on lap 16 here of this race. So they are going to be thinking about that tyre wear. They are going to be thinking about how long they can take this stint. Now rushing through turn 8 and back up the hill again. It's a very fast pit entry into this next section of road, the fast flick right, and you really have to get off of the binders to dive down into the pits. It's not flat out as you go through. It is a light lift, so that's going to be the cause of concern for a couple of drivers who are out there in this race. Still no takers then through the group, through the middle of the group as well, and this is where I think you look at Eduardo Leo, he's thinking about this from one perspective, DJ. I've got good points, I'm in position number 1.
Yeah, exactly. If you're Leo, you're just going to keep doing what you're doing here at this point. Unless, once again, there are some messages coming back from that Altus team about how they want to run this strategy. But Leo doing a good job here. This is the best run we've seen Vasquez have. But again, going to lift out of it coming down into Rauk.
He's going to lift out. He's going to comfortably just shadow and follow and just go 1 and 2 in tandem as they run. It is a race on for 5th position, though. That's where I think it starts to get interesting, too, between Apex Racing and Apex Academy. Gael Valero and Daniel Civi-Chabo, who we saw get clattered up in with Pablo Espes. The group is there behind. Matt Emery, Pablo Espes, and Jakub Maciejewski. They're all there. They all want to stay within that range of the group.
Yeah, they all want to try to hold in here, and as the tires begin to wear longer and longer into this stint, that's going to be more and more difficult on these medium compound tires that the whole field is pretty much running at this point if they haven't come down into pit lane. So that's why we're seeing these gaps start to develop a little bit more. But these two Apex drivers, again, Apex Racing Team and Apex Academy, running very close. We'll have to see what they do.
Well, they know what they need, and that is time and place. Imagine this as one of those battles that you just cannot keep your eyes off of. Imagine this as for Gael Valero, who is number 2 in iRacing in this field, that he is in and around some incredibly quick talent that's there in the 7,000, in the 8,000 range. You talk about the skill of these drivers. You talk about being at the 7,000 iRacing club. You're in the top 2% of drivers in the world if you hit 7,000 iRacing.
Yeah, it is absolutely remarkable, and the absolute breadth of field here in this top split, well, it is incredible.
It is, and that was a big slide there over the curbs. You can tell that Gael Valero is pushing compared to Daniel Civi-Chabo, who's trying to keep it within the lines. Every single Apex is trying to be maximized right now by the Apex Racing driver in the traditional blue out there on track, looking to get everything and then some sorted. Into the pits, though, Justin, comes Matt Emery from that group. That is the first big name.
And this is right around the window to be expected, where we were expecting some of the drivers in the mediums to then have to go in the hards to close up the run. It's important to consider with a lot of the fuel saving we've seen in these groups, though, it is key to be right there to be able to coordinate with your teammates, but also with your fellow pack mates. After all, one thing to consider in the discussions before today, one of the drivers who unfortunately did not make top split in camera dance did say they are near identical on how close the fuel is for how long it needs to be taken compared to the tire change on the car. Back to you, Jake.
Absolutely perfect. 38 laps worth of racing. You've got to be on it in terms of tyre life and fuel life. It's about balancing the pair of them. In comes Simone Maria Marcheno, DJ, from 3rd position. Now, this could be the chain reaction, and the question is going to be, how much is the fuel going to offset the brand new fresh tyres?
Exactly. That's going to be a big question here, and I've got to think here for the rest of Simone's teammates that we're going to see a little bit of, it almost looked like there was contact there on the wall coming down into pit lane for one of the drivers. Wasn't one of the two Apex drivers there, but the other thing to keep in mind, Vasquez has moved on into the lead. He is ahead of Leo as we watch all these drivers make their pit stops.
Yeah, there has been a pass for the race lead, but we'll give it a moment. Simone Maria Marcheno will come out, but Sam Keiter's going to be the key one here in terms of where he comes out compared to everyone. Civi-Chabo and Valero are leaving the pits right now through turn 1, and now it's going to be a drag race down the hill. Straight into the draft goes Sam Keiter. He wants to jump by both of them. He's been overcut at the moment in the stop with the heavy fuel, with the tyres the way they are, and he's going to have to try and go to the outside. That's not going to happen here at Ramos Corner.
It's not going to happen there, but he's not going to get the jump off of the line. I think that Kiter necessarily wanted to. Sivisabo with a good defensive line there, again coming down into Rauk. Now that's a little bit of teammate action there, I would have to say, as between Valero and Sivisabo, they absolutely shut the door on Kiter.
And Justin, in comes Eduardo Leo.
And right now, some of these drivers losing time, hand, and fist. For example, Renzo, when he came on in, was losing a lot of time in the final 3 laps. As these tires get to the end of the run, those tires really have massive fall-off, as much as about a quarter to a half a second. Some of the drivers currently looking to be very consistent, though, on the strategy. Often clean. Most of the field is now on hards after starting on the mediums.
They are, and it's all about positioning. It leaves Aaron Vasquez out at the front of the field. The gap about 22 seconds, and it's about 22 to 25 seconds transit time. So you've got to be so switched on right now with the tyres at the end of their life. Aaron Vasquez, surely you have to feel here on lap 21. It's going to dive into the pits, and he exits DJ stage right.
Here he comes. Now, how is this going to be in response to his teammate here? That's going to be the question, to see how they are able to run it. Looks like he's able to get down to that pit limiter nice and easy, and it's now all down to the virtual pit crew.
It is down to that virtual pit crew. There is Eduardo Leo. How good has 1 lap on the hard compound tyre been compared to Aaron Vasquez, who's been out there on his own, who is taking the fuel, who has saved the fuel, and is just waiting now. Now he gets off his jack and goes. There is Leo making his way up the front stretch. On the power goes Vasquez. You have to crimp yourself through the opening corner, uphill through the pits. There is Eduardo Leo once again. They're going to cross the beams here as they run towards Rima's corner. And is this going to be a case of Leo finding his way through like a lion? He will take the race lead back.
Straightforward there, warmer tires, more speed as he came down through Niki Lauda curve, but here comes Vasquez, maybe on a little bit of attack. This may be gloves off moment now that fuel has been saved enough.
Fuel's been saved, 4 seconds to the good on Simone, so they've gained 3 seconds in the stop that way. They are in cruise control, and they've got 17 laps to figure it out between each other. Who's going to want that victory and play that game? It is absolutely on back behind them in the race for 5th position as that goes on too. So there is racing everywhere. Through goes the Veloce driver, Matt Emery, making the pass on Daniel Sivisabo.
Yeah, good play there, and that's going to break up those cars there a little bit as Sivisabo just continues to kind of fall down through the field, being passed by Kiter and now being passed by Emery. Emery's going to try to put his sights ahead onto Kiter here, and Kiter's going to have to make that move quickly on Valero if he wants to get his way forward.
He has got to be lights out, he has got to be quick, and he has got to find that with a sense of need at this point. Kiter and Emery, respectively, have gained 12 places in this race. 7 for Kiter, 5 for Emery. Both of them have done a fantastic job at making moves around here, where a lot of drivers have found themselves into troubles early on in this race, found themselves off of the group, and seeing those gaps really extend out like an accordion.
Yeah, very much so, but this one is not extending at all. This one is just continuing to be close. Kiter thought about a little bit of a move there going down into Rauk, and let's consider this from Sam Kiter here at this point. He's on about 5-lap older tires, and that could play into the run here. He could have a little bit more tire wear than the rest of this field come the end of the race.
He certainly could have a little bit more trouble in that regard, and he will be holding on. But this is what you get. There is a double-edged sword to pitting earlier than everybody else, being more aggressive on the fuel to start. You have to pay back the tax man later on in the race, and that's what Sam Kiter came into this race understanding. He wanted track position early, and he'll try and hold on to it late, and he's getting so much help from Gail Valero just in front. This is the way to the world. He gets a big kick off of the curb, actually. They're trying to keep the power in. He is really pushing to stay with the Apex Racing Frenchman just in front.
Yeah, he has given absolutely everything there, and I think that was a little bit of a combination of just a little bit of wheel spin coming off of turn 1, as well as a little bit of running into that big sausage curb. As there we see a little bit of action from behind, Emery having to go defensive on Sivisabo.
Yep, so Matt Emery not getting everything his own way. He doesn't want to fight too much about it, as they do also have a bit of a scrap behind between Maciejewski and Fenalosa. Fenalosa making a great recovery so far in this race. He's now back into the 11th position. Remember, he was down as far as 16th. Well, he is making good progress. He's trading with Maciejewski, and these two are working together in tandem, although not teammates, because they know they're only 4 seconds back of Pablo Espes and co. If they can latch onto the back here, DJ, they are in money.
Yeah, they certainly are. Let's see if they're able to do it. Good runs coming down out of that final corner here as they work their way across the line. 14 to go for all of these drivers. Not going to have a look into Niki Lauda, but I think we're certainly seeing a situation where this is going to be set up coming down into Remus.
Yeah, turn 3 is absolutely fantastic for overtaking. It's an uphill braking zone, which makes it so good for these types of moves, and it's already done before they get there. Fenalosa, no arguments. They race on behind as well. That's Manuel Kubo there, Manel Kubo making the pass in the Apex Academy car. Nothing that the wave machine of Kalen Chin can do anything about. He's just got to sit there and take his medicine as he watches Manel Kubo move up into the 12th position.
Yeah, he's going to move his way forward here and watch him for him to extend that gap a little bit. Once again, the aero wash coming into play through this sort of infield section. And there you can see that gap starting to expand just a little bit.
Lap number 26 has started then for your leaders in the GP Turn Racing iRacing qualifying series. It is Leo versus Vasquez here at the front, and Vasquez for the entire race has sat on the back of Eduardo Leo, and he knows that he wants maximum points possible to say, I will take the first of 14 guaranteed spaces of invite into the championship starting off in September.
Yeah, and that's what these drivers are competing for. They want to be on into those invite positions. And the way Altus is running right now, their really whole team, it looks like they very well may be in good position to be able to claim on that. But as you said, still 13 laps to go, about to be 12 here. We haven't seen Vasquez try to make the assault. I would say probably with about 5 laps to go, that's when we're going to see gloves come fully off of these two leading drivers.
Remember rule 1 of sim racing, don't hit your teammate. That will be in the ears of Simon Feigl, the team boss, who would have woken up very early in the morning to see just how well their team is progressing here through the course of this race, with Simone Maria Marcheno in 3rd, with Marcos Nunez in 4th, a top 4 at this point. Up the hill to Remus, a little search that inside, but it's just that, a little search. Aaron Vasquez is very much just playing the game by percentages. He's playing game theory. He's waiting for the perfect time to make the move where he knows he's got it guaranteed.
Well, and the crucial thing that he's doing here at this point is he's studying Eduardo Leo, looking at his exits, looking at his entries into the corner, trying to figure out where there is going to be the highest percentage move to be able to make that attack. It's just putting more and more notes into that notebook here for Vasquez, and it'll make his overtake all the sweeter when it potentially comes.
He looks down at his steering wheel, 6th gear, down through the brakes, just the lift, no gear change, 1 gear change down into 5th, fighting the car over the anti-cut curbs on the outside, and back onto the power once more, really ratcheting up, using all of that 3-litre V10 to get as much as possible. Huge correction in through the opening corner. He was almost drifting it through there. He's trying to get so much pace and power to work in favour. This is an all-important drive from Aaron Vasquez, a driver in the 9000 iRacing Club, and there aren't many that can say that they're in the 9000 iRacing Club. That puts him top 100 in the world.
It certainly does, and he's proving that here today with an immense amount of patience. He had the run coming into turn 3, he had the run coming into Rauch if he wanted it, but he didn't go for it. He is biding his time here, and he is just going to absolutely launch a fearsome assault with a few minutes left to go, I think.
As that's happened, Sam Keitet's just moved back up into 5th, and Pablo Espes finds himself in a race right now. Wrong side of the 2 left-handers. He'll try and hang it out there compared to Emery. Can Matt Emery hang him out? Yes, he can. He holds on. Does the Veloce driver, but look at what it costs them in terms of time. A big half a second.
Yeah, and you can visually see that gap in between the two of them as they run down through the corner. Now, I'm not surprised that we're seeing a few more passes down through that infield section. We talked about the aero wash that these cars generate, but the increased downforce on these IRL1s means that you don't have to put nearly as much brake through the corner. You're able to get grip on either side of the track.
Certainly are, and he'll have some help too in the form of the spotter, will Matt Emery. He's got Luke Pennington in his ears, and look how early he is on the brakes. It allows to move through then on the power. Then a chance for Pablo Espes, who is very much one of the last late breakers in the field. But you look in front and you sense that group, you sense what they're going to do. Keiter's going to have to worry because that's Valero straight back up the inside, almost clanging tyres as they run themselves up to the next left-hander here, the power horse. Who has got that? The answer is Keiter as they will now head to Ras Corner.
And that's a wide run there for Valero as he may be under a little bit of pressure here from Civisabo, but Civisabo I think was also put offline by that, so a real chain reaction back down through the field here. Oh, almost a look coming down into Rint.
That was a big gander from Daniel Civisabo, who has proven time and again here, DJ, he loves a look at a race move.
Yeah, he certainly does. We're seeing very unexpected maneuvers out of Civisabo here, and I love to see it. Great run off of turn one. I think we're going to see a pass here on his cohort.
Now he's going to have to get a little bit of help here, and that's a lift. A very crucial lift there from Gail Valero. He's thinking about the long term of his race. He lets that one go here with 9 laps to go. He doesn't want to risk anything. Through they go. Now shadowing onto the back will be Matt Emery. Can't find an angle to the inside. Looks to the outside. There goes Gail Valero again. Looking as he goes through. Daniel Civisabo to the inside as well. He gets the pass done on Sam Keiter.
Nicely done. Keiter trying to look for a little bit of a switchback there, coming down and through, and now Valero has to play a little bit of defense there on Emery, and it's all going to be nice and orderly by the time they come down through Verth, but we are starting to see what happens when we've got less than 10 laps to go. Drivers are getting dancy.
They are getting dancy, and every position is worth a boatload of points. They're not just racing against themselves here, DJ. They're racing against those at the top of second split who will be scoring very similar points.
They are indeed. We count it all the way down through the order here, so every point is absolutely crucial, including the fastest lap, which is currently, I believe, still held by Sam Keiter.
Keiter now trying to figure out if he's got enough to make the move. Switch back to the inside. It's not there. Espes in the background will get the pass done. But the up and under coming along then from the Veloce man there of Matt Emery. He's going to try and figure out if he's got enough. Answer that is no. Oh, big switch. How did he find the inside line there? That never looked on as he now makes the move for the inside. That is the pass of the race.
Absolutely the pass of the race. Does Espes have any response here coming down into Power Horse? No, he does not. Incredible stuff there.
He sold him. He sold him his own shoelaces. He was that good.
Yeah, he certainly did. I mean, just that absolute wallop across the track there to be able to make that move work. Now, the question is he's got to try to hold it and maybe move his way up forward a little bit because look at what that battle has done. Oh, that's your car off.
And that might be number one. It is number one. That's Simone Maria Marcheno from third position. He's out. And that is why turn one bites. And now looking for the race lead. It gets close still. No look for that one. But Simone Maria Marcheno, the anti-cut curb on the outside, spit him.
And we talked about the danger of running onto those curves a little bit earlier, and there it came to bite. Only with 7 laps to go. One error for Marcheno, and that was enough to be able to send Simone back down through. Let's take a look at the replay.
It's so simple. On his own, lapse of concentration from the Italian. You can see he's all over that curb, and you're not going to get an ollie like your Tony Hawk. He finds himself in the grind, and he is spat into the tires.
Absolutely spat out into the tires there. Heavy damage to both the front and the rear of the car. He has taken a tow. He is out of the race here at this point.
It now means that everybody gains a position and vital points on top of that. Marcos Nunez up into third. It's now going to be Daniel Civisabo now in fourth position in this race, and Sam Kiter in the top 5. And this group, well, now it is going to be that for fourth position. They are absolutely on it, and now you can sense in the background there Maciejewski and Fenellosa's work. They are now part of this group. What brilliant work to get themselves back to it.
Yeah, they smell a little blood in the water here as this battle for fourth continues to just absolutely seesaw back and forth between all of these drivers. And Fenellosa and Jakob going to be very, very happy to get themselves into the back there. A little bit of a defensive line there coming in from Matt Emery. I think he's feeling a little pressure from behind from Pablo Espes.
He certainly is. Espes is lightning in a bottle. We've said that once already tonight because he can make a move where others potentially can't. He is that much of a dynamo. You look, though, at Daniel Civisabo in fourth position. He'll be looking around at what he's been up to in this race. Yes, he's tangled a couple wheels here and there, but he still had a car more than capable to race, and he's proving that he has got all shades of pace right now to go out there, and he is keeping himself away from the struggling tyres of Sam Kiter, who might just be starting to fade in the most critical part of his race.
And this is the danger of coming down into pit lane those laps early. Remember, 5-lap older tires here for Sam Kiter. He looks like he's able to keep it down under braking. A little bit of a move there from behind from Emery trying to come up in. But they're going to be side by side coming off of the corner.
And Valero is not going to give this one up despite being on the wrong side of the road. Here comes Espes trying to thread the needle. Not going to happen, but he'll take one on Valero for his troubles. Thank you very and much with the way that happens. With 5 to go, it's now going to be 4 for your leaders. This race is on in every sense of the word.
It certainly is. Espes saw an opportunity and absolutely went for it there. I thought that gap was going to narrow up, but Espes having absolute total faith in his competitors. Let's keep our eye here, though, on Sam Kiter. Let's see what he is able to do. Can he get the good run off of the corner? He's not able to get it there coming through Red Bull Mobile. I think those tires starting to wear a little bit.
That's going to be the one concern. Will he have enough to make a move? Also, there'll be a point of concern on what Aaron Vasquez and Eduardo Leo are going to be trying to do up at the front. Here comes Kiter, full bore, as he looks to get this one on the brakes. As he goes for it, it's side by side as well for the lead. Vasquez, for the first time, is contact now between Kiter and Civisabo, and it's going to bring them 3 wide in the race for fourth. We'll talk about the lead in a moment because that has changed. Here comes Matt Emery for Loche. Moving up, then another position. Here comes Espes.
Again, just recognizing a problem there and absolutely capitalizing was Matt Emery as Espes able to make that move down into the inside.
And as that happened, as all that unfolded, Aaron Vasquez has the race lead, and Eduardo Leo now has to find the magic formula with 3 laps to go. He has got to pick and choose the right moment to get it done, and he might decide he wants to save a little bit of fuel before he does so because he has been spending so long at the front. Mistake from Vasquez opens up a half chance.
And you've got to pounce here if you're Leo. You do not want to give any sort of opportunity here, but it looks like he's going to maybe back off a little bit. Better run off of the corner for Vasquez despite that little bit of an incident. But that corner right there, Rauch, I think that is where you are going to see what decides this race on the final lap.
They will know each other inside and out as teammates. They will understand every measure of how they are quick. They will look at both each other's telemetries and know each other's driving styles uniquely. These two would have put hour after hour in this sim and try and put together the one perfect result. The one thing that they're going to be hating about it between them with a couple of popsicle sticks left in the opening round of the GP Turn Racing iRacing qualifying series is the fact that one of them has to settle for second place.
Little bit of oversteer coming off of the corner for Leo there. He's still going to be able to get the nice benefit of the draft here coming up into Remus. Is he going to go for the move here?
No.
I don't think you want to go. Yeah, he's going to hold it behind. You want to make the move on the final lap. You don't want to make it now.
Not now, not yet. Be patient, there is still time to have these moves sorted. And this is where Eduardo Leo needs to have patience compared to Aaron Vasquez. Vasquez with the number 3 in terms of his iRacing. Leo comes into this one as number 15 seed here today, as if this was a Wimbledon draw. This is where you're going to have to be alert now here, DJ, because you are now looking at one key move, and Remus is the prime place to get it done on that final lap.
And it's all going to be about your launch off of Niki Lauda curb, breaking down into that curb at the top of the hill up into turn 3, and waiting to see how it's going to play. Here it goes. White flag in the air.
One final lap here at the Red Bull Ring. It is Aaron Vasquez versus Eduardo Leo, and Leo's got a really good chance here as they make their run towards the Munster curve. He'll have to go to the outside of Remus if he wants to get this done. How nice and cordial they're going to be. They leave each other enough room. Drive off the exit is there by Eduardo Leo as he now looks towards route corner. Turn 4 on the track as they race side by side. If he can hold it around the outside here, he's got the inside for the 2 left-handers. Descending down the hill, Vasquez gets a superior run off of the exit. He covers the nose, but they cross the beams. Back to the outside. Tries Eduardo Leo for the position. He can't quite find it. There's one place left on this quantum of solace, and it is that final section. Jochen Rindt is the last place, but Leo drops back. Here comes the move. He looks left, he looks right. Has he got enough for the almighty send to bring it through at turn 10? No, he does not. Aaron Vasquez takes round 1. It is his championship, he says.
Absolutely fantastic drive here from Vasquez, recognizing where to take advantage as we jump back into the final pack here for P4. Emery leading Keitert, leading Espes.
Matt Emery has driven an absolutely sensational race. So too Sam Keitert on the alternative strategy. They'll get a 4th and a 5th for their troubles. A drag race between, I believe that was Valero and Fenalosa there towards the end. What a drive by Fenalosa to get 7th after the slow start and the numerous mistakes that he had over the course of his race. Some sensational stuff there. Lots of the drivers coming over, the likes of Michael Janney and co, looking to get that over the line. Absolutely incredible. Pascal Sticks and co all there. Nicholas Laubish on top of that too. Absolutely sensational stuff, as we will send it back over to Joey Atterbury and Justin Prince. Justin.
Thank you very much once again, as an exciting race to say the very least. Already an exciting celebration, and the Altus teammates all look to burn it out together after a thriller here at the Red Bull Ring. Justin Prince, Joey Atterbury with you here on FDF.GG after some exciting action. To say the very least, Joey, strategy critical from the onset. We talked about it from the top. It really emphasized itself, especially what we've seen not just in the pace of the top grouping, but also what we've seen with Sam Keitert.
Sam Keitert really put on a show today, up 8 positions, as well as Matt Emery up into 4th, 8 positions gained for himself as well. But I was impressed with the strategy, the different strategy that the number 7 of Sam Keitert was able to do. And he just kind of displayed it early on with gaining that track position. And then also later in the race, he was able to hold it despite having the older tires. But Justin, it was ultimately those Altus cars running away up front. Leo versus Vasquez. Who was going to be in the draft? Who was going to fuel save the most? And ultimately, nobody could catch those two.
All drivers have now crossed the start and finish line, so we can tell you how the unofficial results play out, solidified in the sim. Aaron Vasquez, as mentioned, the winner over Leo. You also have Nunez, along with Emery and Cotter in the top 5. Pablo Espes, well known for his speed on the long run, showed it in the midst of that battle in 6th. Fedalosa, Valero, Jakub Machalensky, along with Chevy Chavo, your top 10 in the field today. 26 seconds, the differential between 1st and 10th. Kalen Chin quietly in 11th, holding off Torres after their back and forth. Michael Janney, along with Andreas Henkel, inside the top 14th. Marcus Luzio, Pascal Sticks, Lobish, and Benitez closing out on the lead lap. Those a lap down with issues. Gal and Andre early on with troubles in the opening 5 laps or so of this race. And a couple drivers finished with DNFs. Unfortunate, especially when it comes to Moreno, who has championship experience, 21st. And he also had an additional driver in Orzbechki in the 22nd position. Amongst the 22 entries, here today, here at the Red Bull Ring. But already, it's been proved just how critical it is to get things dialed in. For some teams, it was a quick turnaround to get ready for the opening round of this qualifying series. We see that in turn today, Joey, and we're going to see how things play out in turn as the season progresses, now with more preparation time per race.
Yeah, you just got a quick week to turn it around to go to Imola there. But thankfully, you know, these two circuits, you can draw some similarities there between them. So, yeah, I think it should be relatively easy for the drivers to go ahead and get on over there. Practice time is going to be similar and whatnot. And if it's anything like we saw at the Red Bull Ring today, it's just going to be a nonstop show, despite the two running away up front. I mean, what was it? A constant flux between 5, 6, 7 cars for that fourth place position.
And I'm surprised not as many drivers took the route as Kyler did, because it was talked about by the crew themselves when I asked them about that track position. They did not want to be in the midst of chaos. What did they do to get out of chaos? They took the different route compared to everybody else and went for the light fuel strat to take the heavy fuel. It still led to the fastest lap, and that is a critical point.
Well, that's exactly what I was just going to mention, is that sure, he comes home with the top 5, but add an extra bonus point in there for that fast lap, a 1 minute 6.779. I believe the only car in the 1 minute 6.7 bracket in the entire field.
So that leads to the question how drivers will play things out at Imola, because that track known a lot for its speed as well, Joey, in terms of how you drive that track, but also is a track that is very similar in that there are a lot of high-speed corners we'll have to see these drivers contend with. How do you think that's going to play out compared to the differences between this race and this round?
I feel like going to Imola, you really have to attack going into the corners, specifically with these IR01 cars, the grip that they make, the downforce level. So that means you got to be good on the brakes. You got to be comfortable with your downforce levels. And looking through the field, I believe it was Daniel Chivichavo who made some incredible passes late on the break. So maybe going into Imola, that might be a strength.
In turn, let's take a look at what decided the race win today. The pass for the win here in this qualifying series. A lot of back and forth amongst the teammates. And this is something we expect potentially throughout the championship. These close battles, we've seen this in the Pro Series a couple years ago. Smart passing, in turn, winning this race.
Well, and not only the smart passing, but the setup of it all. These two drivers were kind of playing games with the fuel save, and ultimately, that pass, it came down to a mistake. That's what ultimately lost the race, or, if you could say in Vasquez's terms, won him the checkered flag.
And that was on a teammate, mind you, able to force and pressurize the mistake there to close out round number 1. As mentioned, round 2, heading off to Italy to see how drivers play things out there in regards to the qualifying format. 33 laps expect to be on the docket when it comes to that race in Italy at the Imola GP circuit. July the 13th. You can find that once again at ftf.gg. But on that note, it's time to get ready to say goodbye. All of us are thankful to have you along for the ride for this opening round of the campaign. For Jake Sperry and DJ Clark, for Joey Atterbury, for producer Zach Johnson, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. You've been watching qualifying series action, the GP Turn iRacing qualifying series action.